Morning, everyone. I'm Erna van der Westhuizen from the Shonaquip Social Enterprise. I've been at the organization for 5-6 years, at the moment in the capacity of looking over the social impact of the social enterprise. But I've also started the parent movement, and that's the thing that I want to share with you today. So maybe just a few introductory ideas, and then I will get going. The dream of having a parent network has been there for many years, but I think as you know, that when we hit COVID, it became such a big barrier to parents of kids with disabilities that I almost felt that it's going to be wrong not to really get it going. So COVID to some extent was the final catalyst for this work. And I would love to share some ideas around the work with you, and then also share how it's been a solution to building resilience with parents as they navigate the health and the social systems. Maybe just on definition, a parent, if I refer to a parent, that's the actual individual of a child with a disability, but it's also caregivers, and it's also people that sort of look after and care for kids with disabilities in their communities. So maybe to start, I'd like to highlight just sort of a statistic or sort of a thought that made me sit up really. I think the one specific thing with the network is that it highlighted the idea of that we think about disability, we need to think about the family. And I think it's well known that there's nearly 9 million people in South Africa with disabilities. But if you look at that from a family perspective, it brings it to like nearly 30 million people, or just over 30 million people, which almost changes the idea and the volume and the scale that we are talking about. So the network has really built on the idea that we work with family and within a family model and concept, and that we feel quite strongly that it's really important to look at it from that way, specifically because we know that disability doesn't just affect the person with a disability, but the family all. It sort of affects the psychosocial well-being of families, in particular mothers, like giving up their own education, but participating in social social participation. So it really affects a lot more people than just the 9 million people living with disability. So maybe just a thought on why it's still happening, and I'm sure you all have, if I must open it up, I'm sure you will all have very different ideas on this, but maybe just sort of perspective on the table is that sort of our founder of the social enterprise, it has been really motivated by a personal experience of being a mother of a child or a person with severe disabilities, and we've spent the last 30 years to understand the deep root causes of why people are still facing social, economic, access, attitudinal barriers. To some extent, we feel it's avoidable because when you look at the policy and legal framework, it should also include people with disabilities. But we think it's still happening because there's a lack of coordinated service delivery. Our systems are really struggling. It's under high pressure. There's a lack of accurate data, specifically from the perspective of the daily lives of people with disabilities, but also their families. And then, of course, parents in themselves are also a sort of a product of paternalistic structures and social structures. So again, bringing in the family perspective, we can't think about that without thinking about the family. But we really feel that these issues that I just mentioned is detracting us from having a systemic approach to the implementation of the convention. So that is just in a nutshell why we think it's still happening. And so what do we think is the solution? Like I said, now we've started the parent network at the dawn of COVID. And so as we explore the problem and learning from parents and really do this in partnership with them, we've realized that many people don't have access to, or many parents to be specific, don't have access to services, but we know they have a smartphone. And if they don't have a smartphone, one of their children or a neighbor, somebody close to them will have a smartphone. And therefore, the parent network is sort of a digital network where we use existing technology that enables the coordinated movement. Then again, we are saying the parent network is by parents for parents. We're using free communication applications at the moment. That is WhatsApp. And the network is doing four things. The one is that it's connecting parents, which really in the beginning, I didn't know or didn't realize how maybe just so unconnected parents are. The network really is creating quality information in many cases. That's also creating quality information with parents. We are building local referral pathways. And then also, which I will talk about a little bit more, monitoring influence policy, and all of this create a movement for systemic change. So I guess the important thing here is that it is a digital network. It means that everyone and anyone can join, all ages, all disabilities, and people can access the network simply by having a smartphone. So just how it works. So how do we do it? We have a trust and a board that's really made up of parents of children with disabilities. There's an advisory committee that's also all parents of children with disabilities, and the purpose of them is to make sure that the board keep the daily lives of people with disabilities and their families like at the front when they make decisions, but it's also to make sure that they inform the activities of the network. And then in the picture that you see on the right hand of the screen, there's bigger circles with a phone next to them. That's what we call the network parents. They have two purposes. The one is that they support parent champions. Parent champions really are the foot soldiers within communities. The network parents, ideally, we are growing towards having one in every district who support then the parent champions. The parent champions support the families in their communities. But the way information flows, and that's kind of been the model that we've been developing with parents, is that in the same way that information flows from the network parents to parent champions to families, the idea and how we practice at the moment is that information also flows from families to parent champions to network parents. We do that by using a tool called Let's Talk Parents. I'll talk about that now. And the idea is that information and sort of challenges and barriers that people will face will come from communities, families, to the network parents. The network parents come together once a month to discuss these issues. Usually what happens is that either we come up with a plan amongst each others, but we are also actively working with research and active or advocacy partners and volunteers to inform some of the issues that we are dealing with. So in the same way that information flows from families, parent champions to the network parents, to partners, volunteers, advocacy organization, communication also flows from the partners, the volunteers, the network parents, parent champions, and families. So the idea and the way that we are practicing it, it's that it's a constant flow of information. To make an example, for instance, during COVID, we had long discussions with the network parents and the parent champions about what is actually the issues that families are dealing with. And we escalated that issues from the families to parent champions to network parents. And basically what they decided is that they want to make a video that's small enough that we can send it and distribute that via WhatsApp. And then we produce that video, but it's specifically made from the concepts and the ideas that's coming from families. So practically how we do it, we are doing it in 3 ways. We have the provincial chat groups. That is like, you know, everyone in Gauteng, everyone in Limpopo, Western Cape, wherever, come together, and they really run that by themselves. Sometimes it's just, hi guys, I'm struggling with this, or, you know, this is working really well for me. So they share that within their provincial groups. But then, as you can see in the little calendar at the bottom right corner of your screens, we also have 2 other things we do every month. The one is that we have what we call training all sessions, and that is where we bring everyone in the network together. We've outgrown WhatsApp, so we had to split the bigger groups a little bit, but that's specifically to give information to the network. For instance, we do stuff around, or sessions around feeding or play and learning, or what is advocacy. And then going back to how information flow, it then flows from the network parents to the parent champions to families. We do, like, I just call them skills labs with network parents, and that would, for instance, be, how do I facilitate a group? How do I raise funds? Those kinds of things. We've grown now to a stage where we develop almost like a welcome pack, where when a new parent joins, they are getting connected to the different groups. They're being introduced to our social work team, who can then support them with issues, but also referral pathways. That's just like an idea of, like, practically how do we do it. And then I just wanted to share with you the actual tool. So remember, I started to talk about the network is all about breaking isolation, understanding barriers, connecting parents, but then also to make sure that we find a way to monitor human rights, but also policy and legal framework. So I think we're all aware of how big, like the 2030 ideas, that we can get the white paper into law. So basically what I did is I developed an app. So on the phone, you can see on the left side of your screen, there's an app. I took the pillars of the white paper and then tried to understand how that links to the convention, but also to the SDGs. And then in the app, there's, at the bottom, you can see the circles. It's basically looking like this. So if somebody is clicking on the Let's Talk Parent tool, and they, for instance, struggle to access public roads or whatever, they can go to pillar 1, they click on pillar 1, and they can monitor, for instance, access to services or access to public roads and so forth. So the idea is that this is a living document, and the idea is that it's on parents' phones, and that when they go to school, or they can't get transport, or they can't get into the bank or whatever, that they know exactly where they can record this particular issue. And then just to go back to the previous slide, then we get information, for instance, which pillars are monitored the most, and then some of the information that's coming up. So the idea really of the parent network is that it can create an upswelling of parents, a movement, to make sure that we not only break silence, get information there, but we also be able to partner with government towards 2030. Really feel that it's an important step that we get to a place where we monitor versus problem reporting. I think in the history of disability and parents' role, it's so important that parents find that voice again, and that they're able to stand up really together to challenge some of these things. Maybe just to show, we recently had our sort of a first birthday, and just to show how we've been growing in 1 year. We are now close to 600 parents nationally, connecting with each other daily, monthly, weekly. And then just the last thought, and then I would love to share with you a little video. It is just so amazing to see how the parent network, through everyday actions, already be able to like break down systemic barriers and mindsets. We just get amazing stories from parents every day, how the information that they're getting, and the way that they can have conversations with people are really making a difference. There's significant stories of how the network, through connection, are breaking the isolation, and that we just feel strongly that changing the narrative, becoming visible, having confident parents, being able to problem solve and participate, is really the way to go. So I know this is a lot of information to take in a small amount of time, but maybe to solidify that, if you would give me a moment, I would love to share with you a video. Just want to share it again. Share my screen. I think a story can tell it better than I can do. So can I just get an indication if you can see YouTube in front of you at the moment? Can I just get a yes? Can you see YouTube in front of you? Or a screen that's saying...
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So I just want to share the story with you. So it's really just a story that one of the parents made in Malmesbury in the Western Cape. We made it with her, and I think this can explain significantly in a different story form what I've just shared with you. So it's just 3 minutes. Enjoy.
I love you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. I hope one day we get you ready for school too. Sorry to make you uncomfortable. I know this device is too small. I have contacted the therapist. You are on a waiting list, but I know it is just really long to wait. I don't mind that they stare. Hopefully seeing us, people learn about disability. And as Buddha says, Nana can be invited too. This is the school I hope you can go to one day, because the other centers for kids with disabilities only took care of your basic needs and didn't understand you can learn. It is frustrating that I cannot access all these services Nana needs at my local clinic. Now we need to travel to the town, to the hospital, to get her what she needs.
Thank you very much, Ms. Emma.
Just just one last slide, if you don't mind.
Are you done?
Just give me one. I just want to end off with the last slide. Don't seem to get there now. Just give me a second. So just to end off, I mean, we can't do this without partnerships. So I really want to invite you to join me. Please get in touch with me. My number is there. My email address is there. Get in touch with me that we can take hands in this mission. And then the last thing also, please join our AGM on the 15th. We will also talk about the Let's Talk Parents there and share more insights. Thank you everyone for sharing my story and for being here. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very good, well thought initiative to have that kind of an application that is very accessible to people. You know that majority of the people do use smartphones, and it would be nice if those kind of services that you mentioned could be easily accessible, considering the fact that a lot of parents don't know how to manage children with those kind of challenges. So I think that's a brilliant project, and I wish you all the best. So we are going to take a question and answers.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, my name is Undine, and I'm also involved in CP children. I want to know how you experience the barrier of literacy concerning using this app, because that is a barrier we experience often. So that's why face-to-face is still very important. And I understand it doesn't replace that, but how is the experience in your context?
Yeah, that's a really great question. On the app specifically, the idea is that people do it in partnership with a parent champion or family member. So the idea is that, if somebody struggles, that there will definitely be local peer support to do that. We also do get parents that support, that will do it on another parent's behalf. So I know that's not ideal, but that's been the way that we've been navigating at the moment. What's been interesting, though, in the Skills Lab and the monthly sessions, I found that it's actually been a lot more accessible for parents struggling with like reading and writing, because they can use voice notes. So I've actually found that participation has been so different because people can take part in a different way. So that's been interesting to me, but on the app itself, the idea where people struggle is that there's another parent who can support them. Of course, there will always be people who won't be able to access that, but it's also a good question for me to think about. How can we think about the app differently and not just like through written text? Thanks for that question. I hope that answers you properly.
Thank you very much. There's another question. Please hold on.
Hi, Anna. It's Kathy from Siakwazi.
Hi.
I actually have two questions, and one is similar to the one you just got. So there's definitely an increase in parents accessing smartphones, but in our community, a lot of parents still don't have smartphones, and a lot of parents struggle with signal even if they have a smartphone. So we as an organization really struggle with accessing that kind of, and also WhatsApp does require data to use it. So how do we overcome all of those challenges?
Yeah,
That's
thanks for that.
First question.
Thanks for that. So the two things I can say on that. So the actual app is data free, so which means that people can use the tool and it will be saved on their phones or on the cloud. And then whenever there's signal or data or Wi-Fi spot, it will load. So the first thing is that the app is data free. I think that's an important thing, specifically around data. We have been raising funds very actively, so we provide data to parents at the moment to attend sessions via WhatsApp. So we do that. We've been running social campaigns, social media campaigns, etc. Of course, that's not sustainable forever. But we are actively trying to overcome that. Signal is a real challenge. So we've been also working, still experimenting really with the organization that's setting up hotspots. So in that way, trying to overcome the signal issue. But like I said earlier, I mean, it's so difficult to make sure that every single person get that. So but we are really making an effort to overcome that. So again, I mean, I think if there's other ways that you can think it can work when there's low signal, please let me know, or let's find a solution to make it work. The other thing, the last thing, just on that, when there's network parents and parent champions in communities, they can also get a paper-based version. So then they can do it on behalf of a parent without a cell phone. But honestly, I've really come across, I think I can count on my one hand, parents who don't have a smartphone, or who don't have somebody in their family or like in their neighborhood without a smartphone. But obviously that doesn't talk to the signal issue. So that's just a few thoughts of adding, yeah.
Thanks, Anna. There was one more question that I had. How do you choose and then equip your parent champions that you use? That is, yeah, I found that quite an interesting concept, and I'd love to know how you choose them and equip them.
So for families and parent champions, there's no, it's like everyone can join. So that's not there's no kind of criteria, if that makes sense. And it's been an ongoing learning sort of journey really, because you sit with like hundreds of parents, there's so many different perspectives around disability and sort of, you know, culture and religious sort of beliefs around that. So we use the training all sessions to raise awareness of the social model of disability, general, like different types of disabilities, etc. For the network parents, we make it clear that it's people who are willing to step into a leadership position. So we do have like a short conversation with them and then they join, but they come forward. It's not that we have active, by lack of a better word, the interview process. They come forward and they say they would like to try it, after which we then have a short conversation with them to make sure that we build a strong like group of leaders, if that makes sense. The dream is really to have one per district. So we are getting